request you all to please pay attention. In the world today, this subject of parenting has gained tremendous popularity, and for that we have an endless variety of contradictory books upon parenting, and everyone suggests, you probably read that, some of you, that you must read this book. It's a must. These are the principles, this, that, and the other. And we also have endless guidelines, endless advices, even on social media. So the result has been that parents have become overly anxious. They have become stressed and confused, and at the same time very prescriptive do's and do nots how to bring up children. Now we are here to understand and find a practical solution, the best solution from our timeless wisdom of the scriptures to help us to perform this work, this duty of a parent as best as possible with a balanced mind. Now, the very first thing we need to know about raising our children is to first know how to raise our own self. What do we mean by parent? We need to know that. I will begin with a very, very important quote by a very renowned Sufi saint. Some of you may have heard of his name, Khalil Gibran. It's a very eye-opening quote, so listen very carefully. He said, "Your children are not your children. They come through you, but not from you. They are with you, but they belong not to you. You may house their bodies, but you do not house their souls." What an absolute truth this is. Have you ever thought as a parent upon these lines? These are very, very deep words, and it's the absolute truth, as I said. Have we ever contemplated upon the truth of these words by Khalil Gibran? We have not. And why not? Because of our excessive identification with this physical body. So therefore, it is all about the fact that I am the creator of this child, and this child is a part of me, and the child is my property. you held that child in your womb and delivered it, does it mean that you are the creator or the proprietor of that child? Let us understand this, because what happens is that parents are always busy with what? Discussions. What should we name the child? You know? And sometimes I found that parents they literally fight about this, especially if it's a common thing now. Different religions, people, they come together, get married. So I think this should be the name, no, I think this should be the name, etc. So they literally becomes a very heated discussion about names. Then the discussion is about what color should we paint the nursery room, what clothes should we buy, what toys should we buy, etc. And there is a lot of discussion about the profession also. I think I would prefer if it's a girl, then I would rather that she be a model. You know, whatever ambitions you have in your mind and you have not fulfilled them. And the man says, I don't think this is a very respectable profession. I'd rather she be a doctor and this and the other. And I overheard this couple arguing about the future profession of their child. And out of curiosity, I asked this couple, how old is your child? And they said, well, she just found out she's pregnant last week. Oh, this is how we get hyper about external things and we are not aware. The mother is not even aware of the wonderful miracle that is happening within her. She has no knowledge of it, no awareness. And there is no doing on her part. If only one word to focus on this important point, then you will be breathless in amazement at the mind-boggling development of this child within the womb. How those stem cells move in perfect harmony. Some of the cells, they form bone. Some of the cells, they form muscle. Some of the cells, they form blood vessels. Some of the cells go to form the heart. Some of the cells, they form the lungs. Some of the cells, the two eyes, the ears, the nose, the lung, everything. I mean, every part is there. Just think about it. So many parts and they are all, those stem cells move in complete harmony to create this child. What a wonder it is. And was this miracle of life, was it created by you? No question of creating life. Did you do anything to make even the physical body? No, you didn't. That area within the womb is the Creator's territory. It is said that the heart starts pumping, it's beating, you know how, when? 22 days after the lady has had conception. At that time the mother wasn't even aware that she's going to be a mother. It starts at that time. So within the womb is the invisible hand of God. If you give this a thought, it's a very important truth. Can anybody deny this? That I am the one who made the physical body of my... You did not even know anything. You know, our scriptures give a very detailed explanation of how the child develops. First month this happened, second month this happened. Now science is coming up with all these different truths. But it's already there in the scriptures, remember that? So how perfectly everything is planned. Just think about it. Right from conception to the child growing up, full-fledged, and longing to gain independence from that dark, cramped chamber of the womb. My spiritual master says that if you want to see what hell can be, that mother's womb is like that. The small, delicate child is cramped up in that little space, head down, Shishasana, trying to it. And for so many months, that kind of placement of the child with the head down, more or less. And then within the womb, there are tiny, tiny, tiny bacteria or whatever little creature that actually bite the child within. But the child cannot even cry. Who's going to hear the cry? And the pain is there. It cannot even move to do anything. Even after it's born, the child is so helpless. If there is a mosquito biting the child cannot even look at his mother and tell her, look, something is happening, I'm getting hurt, I'm getting bitten. No. Most helpless. And then there is the contractions and the labor pains that follow. All is planned. Before this, there was no milk in the breast of the mother. Was there? No. It was only after this conception and it was time to feed the child that it just happened. Nobody can make it happen, but it happened. All well planned. And you know that the child has a natural instinct. When you feed the child was fed, it started sucking. Nobody taught the child. It was so natural. So think. We don't think. As I said, we are just rushing through life. I'm going to be a mother. My child, my child, my child, my child. It's all about my child. But how the process, what has happened, and how it developed, all that if you think about it, then you will realize that you are just a caretaker of the child. You are a go-between. God has given you a very, very special role to play, to look after a soul and bring that soul up to the best of your ability. So you are just a go-between the Supreme Lord and the child. He is the Father of all fathers. He is the Mother of all mothers. He is your all in all. Don't we recite this verse? Everybody knows it, I suppose. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva. You alone. Those who know Sanskrit would know that the word ev in this particular verse means only. Only you are my father. You alone are my mother. And the end of the verse is Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. You are my all in all. Every relationship of mine is with you. Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, very popular with people, Aham sarvasya prabhu mattat sarvam pravartate. 10 chapter 8 verse. I am the origin of everything, Arjun. Everything proceeds from me. So he is the father of the child, and he is also your father. And our scriptures have got thousands of verses referring to this fact. Divyo Deva Eko Narayano Mata Pita Bhrata. This is from the Subala Upanishad. Gati Bhatta Prabhusakshi Nivasa Sharanam Sugrit. 9 chapter 18 verse. In different ways, the Supreme Being, Sri Krishna himself, is revealing this truth to us so that we understand what our role is when it comes to parenting. Not only in Sanatana Dharma, which we refer to as Hinduism, every religion refers to God as the Father. You must be doing. Our Father, which art in heaven. This is a prayer of Christians. It starts with our Father. In the Sikh religion, it is said, Tum mat pita hum balak tere, tumari kirpa mein sukh gane. We are your children. And you are our parents. So there you go. We do mechanically recite these verses, but do you think about the depth of what these verses are saying? If we were to think about the depth of these verses, then our role as parents would be more balanced. So let us remember this link with the divine. Therefore, what will happen is, in your day-to-day bringing up of the child, your mind will be balanced. And this link to the divine will also be helpful to you to balance your life. It will bring about a feeling of gratitude. How fortunate I am that God has given me the privilege of bringing up a soul which is a part of Him. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, very popular verse, Mamaivansho Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana. All living beings are parts of the Ansho. Ansho Nana Vyapadesha. Ishvaransha Jiva Avinashi. It's there all over in the scriptures that we are parts of that Supreme Being. Now this is our link to the divine, and this link to the divine needs to be constantly kept in the mind. And when we do that, whilst we are bringing up our children, raising our children, what will happen? We will be able to remain calm. We will be able to experience joy in spite of all the challenges that we go through. You see, raising a child is not a joke. It has all its challenges. You all have experiences. Some have been parents, probably some grandparents as well here. And some are would-be parents. But this knowledge is most important for us to be able to reach a state of balance. So then what will you do? Then in that little child, which you see with your eyes, is not going to be my part, my property, my child. You will look at that child and be amazed, be absorbed at the miracle of the Supreme Lord, and you will see the innocence and pure appearance of that child which connects you to the divine. See, innocence is a very, very important quality which we are able to have a glimpse in the child. And this is what God wants from us as well. He wants us to approach Him with innocence. A state of surrender has to have innocence like that little child. The Bible also, it says that, seek ye the kingdom of God as a little child. Why little child? Because children are pure, they are innocent. All the malice that we have within us, that comes about as we grow up. So, all this business about books about parenting and the do's and do nots, that is flooded all over in the market today. Let us think, did our grandparents or great-grandparents or even some of our parents today, did they buy books on parenting and go through them? Probably not. And many times when they give suggestions to their children, because they have experience, you see, and our experience and common sense is more important than these books, because each child is different. We cannot have a blueprint, oh, this is what it should be and this is what it should not be, because each child has come into your fold and they have past life impressions. They have come with those impressions. And therefore, if we say this is how I should treat the child, that's going to be, because the person has suggested that, we are going to be on a totally wrong channel. Do you have twins? Any of you here? If you haven't, then probably you have seen or met people who have twins. Do you know that these two twins, they may look alike, but character-wise, nature-wise, they can be totally opposite. I met twins like that. One completely quiet and calm, and the other one very, very boisterous and wanting to be active all the time. So, twins in the same, the parents are the same, but the nature is different. What does it teach us? It tells us that these souls have come to us from different lives and they have got a base of past impressions that can be different. They have a connection of karma of the past life, that's why they are here together. But nevertheless, it's not that because they are twins, the nature is going to be the same. So in the past, there were no books, there were no lectures, there were no social media. Today, social media has become very popular. I remember when I was in England, there was this young mother and she was having some problems. You know, they would all do something or the other. The child is coughing, child is not sleeping, child is, there are umpteen number of things and the child cannot tell you what it is and you have to have guesswork. Maybe it's sleepy, maybe it's hungry, you have to do that. Now those parents who have had experience about all the different stages of children, when they try to suggest, she was trying to suggest to her daughter, look, this could be the case, why don't you try that? Mom, I don't want to listen to you. You are from past times and all that, you don't know anything. What do you do then? Google. Search Google for an answer. That's what people are doing these days. So, as I said, our great-grandparents, our grandparents, they did not even dream about listening to any lectures or attending courses or reading books on parenting. Now you might say, well, things have changed drastically today, right? Agreed. But isn't it the case all the time? There has always been a generation gap, right? This is a part of life in this world. So generation gap is always over there, and when you come to the stage of realizing that what your parents said and did was right, we gradually realize that, not at that time. At that time you think, I know it all. They are very old, they don't understand. So by the time you grow up to realize that your parents were right, you already got children who say that you are wrong. So this is a continuous process that will go on and on and on. Generation gap is bound to be there. Things will always keep changing. So we have to understand and keep a link with that spiritual base. Children can come up with very, very smart things, very, very amazing answers. You know that, you have experience of that. One little child asked his father, "Who made you?" "God made me." Okay. "And what about me? Who made me?" "Oh, God made you too." Well, I think God is improving. He is doing better work now. To say, better than you are. So I love this beautiful Leela of Sri Krishna, which I will relate to you about how smart children can be. Of course, this is different. This is Leela of Sri Krishna. But it's so beautiful how the children start thinking how smart they are. So Sri Krishna is he's just about 5 or 6 years and desperate to go out with his friends when they go out to graze the cows. So mother allowed him because the children were little to him and look up to him. So excitedly he will enjoy all the leelas with them in the forest. And one fine day they decided, let's go across the Yamuna river, because we heard that a great saint, he's got his little hut over there, and there are lots of people who come to him to listen to him, and he gives talks over there. So let's also go and listen to him. So all of them got together, and across the Yamuna river, even today, Durvasa Muni's small place is there on the other side in Mathura. It's still there. So the children went over there and they sat and listened. They listened to what Durvasa Ji was saying, all about human life, etc. And Krishna came back home very excited. And he said to his mother, "Oh mother, today I have got a very, very special knowledge." You have a special 6-year-old boy. And what is he talking about? Where did you get this knowledge from? "Oh mother, you heard about Durvasa Muni?" Yeah, I know he's there across the river Yamuna, Mathura. We all went over there, okay? So the knowledge that he gave us, what I heard, you do not know that at all. What? What are you talking about? I don't know. I've grown up with this knowledge. No, Mom, I'm telling you, you do not know anything. He kept on repeating this, and his mother got like he's up to something. When children keep repeating without coming out what they want to say, she knew he was up to something very naughty. Okay, tell me now. Okay, I agree, I don't know. Tell me what Durvasa Muni said. Mom, what he said was, Maya, that this physical body that we have, this is made of the earth. Mitti se bana hai. And it will one day go back to the earth. वो मिट्टी बनेगा. So, do you know this? Of course I do. This is the basis of our Hindu, philosophy, that this body returns to the earth. After you burn the body, naturally it becomes dust. And it is born from this earth. Can any of you tell me how your physical body is born from the earth? You won't be able to think about it. But if you give it a deeper thought, this philosophy will be evident. I was mentioning that the body of the child within the womb, how does it develop? Everything is that invisible hand, all the parts, God is doing it. But that body is developed with the food that the mother eats, right? Whatever she eats, that reaches the child to develop the body. See what a machine God has made. She eats, and that little growing child receives the food and is able to grow. If the mother eats spicy food, do you know it affects the child as well? It's in pain because it cannot take that spice. It has an impact. But what I'm saying is the food that the mother eats, it goes to make up that child's body, right? Now, where did the food come from? The grains, the cereals, the fruits, etc. They are from the earth. They grow from the earth, right? So they are made of earth. The seed is planted, small little seed over there, and then it grows up into different grains and fruits and vegetables, right? So, it's actually made of the earth, and we eat that, and that goes to make up our body. Even today, we just eat. That little child, when it is born, and the child is fed milk, and God is very, very concerned, and He's always planning everything for the child. The moment the child starts teething, then the grains and the vegetables, all that is needed is available. My child will need something more now. It will not, just milk will not be enough for the child. And the child starts eating further on, right? The grains, the vegetables, etc., whatever is necessary. Then how does the body grow? Does the mother stretch the child? I want the child to become taller. Or the eyes and the fingers should grow in uniformity? Nothing. She just feeds the child. And everything happens in perfection. Just think of that. The whole process is there. Even we just eat from, I like to eat this, I want to eat that. Then what happens after that? We are not concerned. It goes down. Then the food goes into 3 parts. Do you know that? 1 part of food goes for the development of the body, right? So all this muscle, bone, and blood vessels, etc., it goes for the sake of development of all these things, producing of these things. Every 7 years, our body changes. So how does it happen? What we eat. And the second part of food goes out as waste product, right? And the subtle part of food goes to make your mind. The mind is something subtle. You wouldn't even think that food has an impact, but it does. बोलते हैं ना, जैसा अन्न वैसा मन. Whatever you eat goes to make the subtle part of food will go to your mind and it will govern your thoughts and ideas. Food has an impact on the mind as well. So we were talking about the fact that we have come from the earth and we'll go back into this earth And this is what Durvasa Muni said, Maya. Maya said, oh Lala, this knowledge is so common. Do you know in India, whenever somebody is going, especially the villages, somebody has passed away, and you ask that person, where did you go yesterday? Uski maati mein gaye the. Maati mein gaye the. They refer to his body as maati. That's what it is. Even Western poets, they said, dust thou art. I think it was Gray, Thomas Gray. Dust thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return. You have come from dust, you will go back there. Did you think like that about your body? We are so body conscious these days. It's all about the body, my body. And we have a center back in India, which is in the village. That is the birthplace of Jagadguru Tam Shri Kripanji Maharaj. A village, right? Now what do you see? Within a few years of development, there are quite a few of these beauty parlors. In a village, so it's all about body, how I look. We are focused on the external, and the real beauty is of the inner self, which we are talking about right now. So Maya says that this is a common knowledge for us. What is so new that you have heard and you're trying to teach me? Maya, you don't know. You're just saying these things. What do you mean? If you understand the fact that the body is made of dust, mitti, and it goes back into this earth, that mitti, then tell me one thing. If we are made of this earth, this mud, then all that we should eat is only mitti. It's made of mitti, and mitti goes into mitti. And here I am having butter, sometimes I have even roti, whatever you give me to eat. So if it is made of mud, then we should be eating only mud, because mud is going into mud. His mother is shocked by what he is saying. You know, the other day I had a little bit of mud, and what did you do? You got so angry with me, you tied me to a mortar, and you showed me a stick that you were going to beat me. Tell me the truth. Have you eaten? तुमने मिट्टी खाई है क्या? So this is what you did to me. If you had this knowledge, then you wouldn't have beaten me at all. You wouldn't have threatened me. You would have allowed me to eat more and more of this mud. Because see the smart answer. We would never think like that, right? Now his mother is really very scared. He's got open license. He's quoting such a great saint that this body is made of mud and it will go to mud. So now I'm going to eat only that. Up to now he used to eat it very slyly, away from, nobody should watch what he's doing. Now he's going to openly eat. What will I do now? It's very natural. Do you have an answer? Very logical. It's made of mud, it will go into mud, right? Now mother is really worried. She's stressed. What do I do? How do I stop this little child of mine? Now he's going to he's openly going to eat mud. Then Sri Maharaji, who has composed all these beautiful poetries of Leelas, of all different philosophy, he has put everything into his compositions for us to grow spiritually. So then he whispered to Yashoda Maya, look, I'm going to tell you how you can solve out this problem. So after he whispered to her, Yashoda Maya said, come Lala, come to me. Yes. What do you see over there? Trees and plants, right? Yeah. Where have they grown from? They have come from the earth. You know, when you are going to eat more and more of this mud and earth and it goes inside your stomach, what's going to happen? Trees will start growing inside. And when they start growing inside, they naturally want to have some kind of exit. The branches need it. So some will come out of your ears, some will come out of your nose, some out of your mouth, and then all your friends are going to climb on the branches of these trees and they're going to shake them around. Just think what's going to happen to you. When little Kanhaiya Krishna heard this, he was really scared. And he imagined what would happen, the branches coming out of his ears and nose and all that. He said, Maiya, I promise, I'm not going to even eat a pinch of that earth again. I don't want all this to happen to me. And Maiya was so relieved. What a beautiful answer she gave. Very logical. So she was so relieved. And then she thought, I need to say one last thing. What is that? Listen, Krishna, just promise me you won't go back to listen to that Durvasa Muni. Because today I have managed to escape from this big problem. Tomorrow he'll hear something else. You know, a child's mind is not that developed. So he'll come back with something else and he will start arguing with me. Then what will I do? Okay, please Kanhaiya, please promise that you are not going to go back to listen to any lectures. But this doesn't apply to you. You have to come back to listen to me tomorrow, where I'm going to explain to you that the spiritual foundation which I've laid down for you, which comes from the timeless wisdom of the scriptures, will not only help in a balanced growth of the child, but also growth of yourself. You know, when a person becomes a parent, as a parent, the nature of the parent changes. Disciplining, patience, all these qualities come over there. They're not the same people. I've met them. I've stayed in people's houses and it's beautiful philosophy. It's like just the absolute truth. Simple, very clear, very logical. He's the fifth original Jagat Guru, and the way he has explained these very profound truths of the scriptures, he has brought it down to common man. And I stayed with them and I would try to persuade them. Parents would tell them, they are teenagers, they have their own world. And then in due course they get married. And what do I see when they invite me to their houses? Little child 1 year, and they have a small little temple in the house. They were not bothered about all these things. But why did they have it? Because they are concerned that my child should grow up with the right values and culture. See how we change for the sake of our children. So, this spiritual foundation is important not only to help us to raise the child, but it also applies to us that we, the real I, we are all eternal divine entities and we have an eternal relationship with our Supreme Being. This is the base. So this is all about the inner self from that wisdom which we have to keep at the back of the mind, which should be there. And now we come to the next point. What about the outer world? We are bringing up the child, the schooling, etc. How stressed parents are all over the world, wherever I go. Which school, which best education should we give the child? Different kinds of services are available for children in England. There are schools where they get free education because of payment of taxes. But some of the parents, they want to send their children to grammar schools. And they work so hard to get them in. The children also stressed, the parents also stressed. And some people, they want to send their children to international schools. And some of them come out as snobs because I went to an international school. All that is happening. So what is the correct school to decide upon? This is a very big decision. Many schools and children in India as well, they accept so much of money as a deposit beforehand. You could say it's a bribe or whatever it is. but people will pay lakhs to get admission into those special schools. So this stressful part of raising a child, the schooling, etc., it is a very hard decision to make. But I will help you and guide you towards the best school that we can start off with, because the starting point is very important. Once you start off with the best school, then obviously the children will grow up with that education, with that knowledge, and in future also, wherever you send them, it is going to stay with them. So, what is that school? Where is it? How do we get admission in that school? You will have to come back to hear that tomorrow. So, Boli Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai, Srimad Sadguru Sarkar Ki Jai. We have a small little chant. This is one drop of the ocean of compositions by Jagadguru Tam Shri Kripaniji Maharaj, and it is connected to what we are listening today, so that we retain this important base, this beautiful kirtan. It's there on the screen, and there are a couple of papers as well, so you can follow and remember the truth about the inner self, who is our actual Father, the Father of all fathers. Mere ek tum, mere ek tum, mere ek tum, Madhav. Mere ek tum, mere मेरे एक तुम मानव, मेरे एक तुम मानव। And here, this is, you could say it is a translation in simple words of Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva. Here, the base is I am a soul. The relationship of the soul is with God alone. The soul is eternal, the soul is divine. God is eternal personality, God is divine. This is the first knowledge that Sri Krishna gave to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, when he accepted him as a guru. And he had all this confusion about death and the duty that he had to perform. So Sri Krishna had to explain to him that there are two things. We are body and we are soul. The soul is a real I, and it is beyond birth and death. A very important truth, which we are not, we listen to it, but we have to keep it in mind, because it's body identification, my name, my profession, my country, my religion, etc. This is what is separating us and creating all the confusion in the world. So remember, we have two things. This physical body, for the physical body, there is this world. We need food, clothes and shelter. But the soul is hungry. The soul is seeking God. And we have no time for that. So, from the relationship point of view, the relation of the soul is with our Supreme Being only. Ekatum. That's why the word ek comes, only. Mere ek tum, mere ek tum. मेरे एक तुम माधव। तुम्हारी माता तुम पिता हो, तुम्हारी माता तुम पिता हो, तुम्हारी भ्राता माधव। तुम्हारी माता तुम पिता हो, तुम्हारी भ्राता repetition, repetition. That newborn child doesn't recognize its mother? No, not for many months. The mother tries to draw the attention of the child and the child is looking elsewhere. हिंदी में बोलते हैं इसको बादशाही निगाह, जहाँ उसका मन करता वो देखते हैं. The mother is trying to draw. Come look at me, look at your mother. मम्मी मम्मी मम्मी. पीछे लग जाती है माँ. And sometimes there is a competition between the father and mother. What the child said first. Papa bola ki mama. Oh wow, mama, no papa. They are trying to constantly drive this information into the child and listening again and again and again. Then the child comes up with the word mama, and that is like literally God realization for the mother. He said mama today. After that everything becomes normal. So how did it happen? Repetition. Even after the child has said mama, does the child know what mother means? No. It just says it. How did it happen? Constant repetition, 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 right? Now if we repeat this truth constantly, I am a soul and He is my all in all. This is our inner understanding which is important as we live through life. Because this world is not our goal. Our goal is to reach home, home where we belong. So keeping that in mind, then we will try to move our lives and the lives of our children, doing everything that is needed in the world towards the right direction. So it's constant repetition. I request you all, whatever you heard, these precious gems of absolute truth, wisdom, which we all heard and accepted, that I am not the creator of the child. There is an invisible hand over there. And we are eternal souls, and the father of the child, the real child, is God, and He also is my Father. So it is He who sent me to this world, and He also sent that child to me to be able to give the right kind of values and bring up the child as best as possible. And while He gave me the child, He also gave me the instinct and common sense. This is what should have happened in the past. Because each child is different. The instinct and common sense also comes to us when the child comes to us. So let us contemplate on what we have heard so that it stays within. That is most important. But there will be a continuity tomorrow. We have to admit our children into the best school, but not today, tomorrow. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai, Srimad Sadguru Sarkar Ki Jai. We will have Aarti now, and whilst we take Prasad, if you have any urgent questions, you are welcome to ask, or you can ask tomorrow as well. There will be time given to you. And also you can try and motivate others around you, because this knowledge you will not get in parenting books. It's all on the world level, how you should value send the child, and how you've got very opposite ways of bringing up children. Some people over-pamper their children and some people over-discipline. So we have to draw the balance and the line between these two, and for that this base will be very, very important. So hope you are able to inspire other people to come and also listen, because this base, this foundation is absolutely indispensable.